welcome to a brand new episode of the Jampack Report today for Tuesday, May the 5th of 2020. Of course, happy Cinco de Mayo. I hope this episode finds you well, and for those that are brand new to the show, this is a daily gaming news podcast meant to bring you the hottest news you need to know from around the industry, hosted on YouTube and podcast services around the world 5 days a week. It is your one-stop shop for all of the hottest gaming news that you need to know. So if you enjoy the show, you like what you see, be sure to hit that subscribe button and keep coming back for more. However, we know what the rollout for next-gen information is going to look like on the Xbox side of things, with new Xbox 2020 events that have been revealed. On top of that, on today's program, we're talking about Cyberpunk 2077, new skating games coming out this year in the year of our Lord 2020 AD. Who would have thought? On top of that, we have news about the future of Final Fantasy VII Remake as the next parts or potentially part rolls out. We've got a lot to break down, so without further ado, let's go ahead and dive into it. First off, Xbox 2020 events will show the future of Xbox each month. An Xbox Game Studio Showcase is going to be coming in July. While we already knew that a look at third-party Xbox Series X games was coming on May the 7th, it looks like we are getting a lot more throughout the year. Xbox has announced Xbox 2020, a series of monthly updates that will show some aspect of the future of Xbox. For first-party content in particular, there will be an Xbox Game Studios event sometime in July. The announcement made is clear that due to the state of the world, the priority for Xbox is the health and safety of its employees. Because of that, this move is meant to provide extra transparency for what is currently happening. Aaron Greenberg, general manager of marketing at Xbox, followed up on Twitter to explain that the May 7th showcase will be under an hour long. As part of the announcement, Xbox notes that the plan remains to launch Xbox Series X and Halo Infinite in holiday 2020. Meanwhile, all 15 Xbox game studios are working on games for Xbox Series X and PC. And of course, Windows Central and myself will keep you updated as more information rolls out. So, first and foremost, the win here for Microsoft is not in what is going to be revealed on May the 7th or in any subsequent event that is going to be coming out over the next few months. The big win here is in transparency with the audience. Right now, we have no idea what Sony has planned for the PlayStation 5 reveal. It is now May 2020, and we have not seen the console. That's insane considering the console is slated to come out in holiday 2020. We have known what the Xbox Series X looks like since December 2019. Microsoft is well ahead of the game. And of course, that is not to say that Sony does not have a solid marketing plan. Clearly, with the way that this generation of gaming has gone, they know what they are doing. But it would be nice to know at least a bit of an outline, maybe have a definitive date as to when we can expect to see something about the next generation hardware in terms of its aesthetic, in terms of its look. But when it comes to setting expectations, I think Microsoft is killing it right now because they did not leave the minds of the public to wander. They didn't leave people to dream big and then be disappointed. They have said, hey, on May 7th, you're going to see less than an hour of content. You are not going to see much from the first-party studios. In fact, we are going to be hosting a bigger event in July to showcase the big-name games that are going to be coming to the Series X at launch or shortly thereafter. And that's a really good move in my book. I think that is a very wise decision because whenever you set the tone, you control the room, in other words. And so if you are able to kind of manage fans' expectations and you are able to set a precedent for what to expect, you are going to have a much better run of it when it comes to explaining how the rollout is going to go, how the next generation will launch, and how these events are going to be received. But hey, if you want to tune in, you by all means, you certainly can this week on May the 7th if you want to see what is going on, particularly with third parties on the Xbox Series X. But on top of that, you are going to be seeing more over the course of June and July at the least with the Xbox Series X reveals. The next story also comes to us from Windows Central, which reports that Cyberpunk 2077 Night City Wire has been announced for June the 11th, teasing more news. Cyberpunk 2077 is a hotly anticipated game, and it looks like fans won't have to wait too much longer to get another look in some form or another. Today, the Cyberpunk 2077 Twitter account shared a new image for some kind of event called Night City Wire. The event is set for June the 11th of 2020. It is unclear exactly what Night City Wire entails right now. It could be a gameplay video, a new trailer, both, or something else entirely. Cyberpunk 2077 is currently scheduled to release on September 17th, 2020, and there is a Cyberpunk 2077 Xbox One X bundle as well as a standalone controller. Cyberpunk 2077 supports smart delivery on Xbox Series X, meaning if you buy the Xbox One version, you will get a free upgrade for Xbox Series X when it becomes available, and it's worth noting at this time there has been no detail released as to whether or not PlayStation will repeat that same kind of setup. I think that Night City Wire is more than likely going to be some kind of video update series that rolls out over the course of the following months leading up to the release of Cyberpunk in September, which I think is a pretty good way to manage the communication between the studio and the publisher and the fan base. And so I think you are going to be seeing some kind of gameplay trailer, probably a larger look at the world of Cyberpunk 2077, diving into the life of Night City. I think that would be something that a lot of people would be interested in, especially considering the scope of this game. It's also worth noting this date, June the 11th, was going to be the final day of E3, so this could have been a pre-existing plan that had already been laid out, and they transformed it into a digital kind of format, or at least they reevaluated and maybe repurposed some of that content. But regardless, very excited to see what the future is over there at CD Projekt Red for the world of Cyberpunk, which is still going to be a very high potential nominee for Game of the Year. Even before it's launched, the game looks phenomenal from what we have seen so far. Very cool looking title. However, it looks like some skating games are on the way, according to pro skater Jason Dill, including a Skate 3 mobile port, and a new Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, which has been, of course, leaked a bit before. It sounds like EA, at least partially, is interested in reviving the Skate brand. On the May 4th episode of the 9 Club podcast, pro skater Jason Dill recounted a recent exchange with EA where the publisher asked if he would like to be involved in a Skate game. Only it was not a new full-fat console game, rather a mobile release of Skate 3. This was 10 months ago, according to Dill, who revealed on the podcast that he basically told EA off. I got a call from the EA people about 10 months ago, and they said, hey, we want to talk about the Skate game. I said, oh, that's fine. They said, basically, hey, Jason, we want to do a mobile version of Skate 3. I wrote back and I said, what else? She wrote back, no, that's it. Dill revealed via WCCF Tech. I wrote back, look, no big deal, no one wants your stupid mobile version of Skate 3. Make Skate fucking 4 already, cause just do it. Just make the game and participate again. You can't level it to the same numbers you get on other games, you do it for a cultural thing that pays you back later, end quote. Perhaps unwittingly, Dill once again proved that the 9 Club podcast is the best place for Tony Hawk's Pro Skater news, because just a couple of minutes before his Skate 3 revelation, Dill also said that a new Tony Hawk's Pro Skater game is due this year, confirming he even contributed to its soundtrack. The 9 Club podcast was, of course, also where a different skater revealed their involvement with a new Tony Hawk's Pro Skater game a few months before. A punk band also propped that up with its own announcement. So it looks like a new Tony Hawk's Pro Skater game is in fact coming. When you have 3 individual sources saying that a new Tony Hawk game is coming, you can pretty much guarantee that it will be on its way. However, I am going to be tempering my expectations because Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 5 was perhaps the biggest disappointment of the 2010 era, and I say that with a full understanding of everything that was disappointing during that decade. No, I digress. It was just not a good game, and it didn't live up to the expectations that fans had had for the series after such a large break. In terms of the Skate 3 mobile port, okay. I don't think anybody really cares about playing a Skate 3 mobile port, but I am in full agreement with Jason Dill. Let's get Skate 4 rolling. Also worth mentioning, there is a game coming out in just a couple of weeks. I believe it launches in July. It might be July 7th, if I remember correctly. I believe that is, in fact, the date. But we are going to be seeing Skater XL, I think is the title of the game, and it's basically a spiritual successor to Skate, if you did want to go ahead and dive in and give that one a look in the meantime. But as an avid fan of the skateboarding games genre, I cannot wait to see what 2020 has in store, and it would be really great to see a PlayStation 5/Xbox Series X console launch, and along with it, you get not only incredible AAA first-party games, but on top of that, a very good Tony Hawk game as well. Moving on, Final Fantasy VII Remake is in the current stages of planning. We learn there is a second secret meaning to the term remake that director Tetsuya Nomura will explain in a few years, and that future entries could err on the shorter side of things to get the project going along quicker. Now, thanks to another Ultimania tidbit translated by Twitter user Itai Kimochi, maybe? Sure, let's go with that. We have some idea of when the next part is coming. A translation, not anytime soon. According to co-director Naoki Hamaguchi, they are in the current stages of planning for the second part and nothing is solid yet. Another co-director, Motomo Toriyama, clarifies that since he was responsible for Midgar's impact in the original game, he knows it like the back of his hand. But the next installment is tougher as it involves areas he has forgotten about or perhaps does not recall so easily. The ever-popular "so will it have a world map" question comes up, which Hamaguchi says is something the team has to consider. This is just a prediction, says the author of Destructoid, but they do tackle it. They would have to balance the strong narrative focus with the ability to aimlessly wander around. If I had to guess, I don't think it's going to be so expansive, more like mini sandboxes with quests that connect each major hub to one another, similar to Final Fantasy VII. As for what the team is Final Fantasy XII. I'm just kidding. I can't read Roman numerals. As for what the team is excited for next time around, Teruki Endo, who handled the battle system, chimes in, saying that they would like to enhance the gameplay aspect of the remake. Hamaguchi wants to focus on something different that would shed the shadow of Midgar from the project, while Toriyama gives a very similar answer. Ultimania has simultaneously given us everything we have wanted and dreaded from Square. Answers. But at least now we have some clue as to how future iterations are going to be approached. So the big question on everybody's mind, what's the timeline like for Final Fantasy VII Remake? Not good in terms of getting this thing out in a timely manner. I think that the next entry, or maybe even entries, if we go with the trifecta option, the trio option that many people are going to be going with, I think that if you see part 2 in 2022, that's a pretty solid timeline. If they make it on the same scale as Final Fantasy VII Remake, the entry that was, of course, unveiled this year and released this year. Or I should say unveiled a few years ago, released this year. In terms of a third, if that is to come out, I would just kind of hold your breath on that one and don't expect any kind of news in the meantime. But I want this project to be treated with care, and of course, I'm echoing sentiments that I have also heard on other podcasts that discuss Final Fantasy VII, but as somebody who is not an avid fan of the franchise, I respect what Final Fantasy VII Remake has done, and I want it to continue to thrive. But at the same time, I also understand the urgency to get these games out while the interest is high, and I think that you have to choose one route or the other. If you want to get these all out in the course of 2 years, you certainly can do that, but then you run into the same problem that Resident Evil 3 has run into in this year, where although it is a good game, it's not being received as well as Resident Evil 2 Remake. You don't want to oversaturate in the same way that if I go for a 10-mile run and I come home and I chug a gallon of water, that's too much water, I might get sick. If I get too many Final Fantasy remakes in a short period of time, you will get people that continually dribble off until you have the hardcore audience instead of this giant surge of hardcore PlayStation fans. So to be able to kind of figure out the perfect timing is a difficult, if not impossible task, but it really comes down to making games that are good. It really does come down to a simple prospect like that. However, speaking of games that are good, Halo 2 Anniversary is coming to PC on May the 12th, included on the Microsoft Store and Steam, as well as part of the Xbox Game Pass PC program. Microsoft is bringing Halo 2 Anniversary to Windows 10 PCs on May the 12th as part of Halo the Master Chief Collection, as announced today. Halo 2 Anniversary is an HD remaster version of Halo 2, which came out on the original Xbox in 2004. It includes a major overhaul to the game's visuals in addition to the soundtrack and sound effects. Halo 2 Anniversary also allows users to switch back and forth from the original graphics to the updated visuals in the campaign mode. Halo 2 Anniversary originally came out as part of the Halo Master Chief Collection on Xbox One in 2014. The compilation also has featured Halo Combat Evolved Anniversary, Halo 3, Halo 3 ODST, and Halo 4. Microsoft would later release Halo Reach into the compilation roughly 5 years after its initial release. A PC port of the Master Chief Collection launched in late 2019, although it only included Halo Reach at launch. Combat Evolved Anniversary has since been added, and Microsoft plans to add the rest of the games over the course of 2020. Of course, Halo 2 became one of the most influential games of its console generation when it came to online gaming. It was one of the first hugely popular online multiplayer games, bringing a lot of players online and becoming one of Microsoft's flagship titles for online gaming. Its multiplayer proved to be so popular that even after the release of the Xbox 360, the game was supported until Microsoft announced it would end support for the original Xbox Live in 2010. The the Master Chief Collection is available for PC for $39.99, and you'll also be able to purchase Halo 2 Anniversary individually for $9.99, or play it through an Xbox Game Pass for PC subscription. Neat. Of course, this is something that has been coming. If you are late to the party, they are releasing the Halo games on PC in the order in which they happen chronologically. So we had Halo Reach happening as a prequel, then we had Halo Combat Evolved, now we are moving on to Halo 2, and so forth and so on. But May the 12th, it is coming very soon. Of course, according to my watch, that is roughly 1 week from today, I believe, in the words of the Bare Naked Ladies. So hey, jump on board, give it a shot if you do want to dive into that sweet, sweet nostalgia. A new Dirt title is to be announced by Codemasters very soon, according to a report. Codemasters has teased the arrival of a new entry in its long-running rally series, Dirt. The hint was dropped in a letter to the community post on the British developer's website, along with the surprising news that the unnamed game will be developed by a brand new team outside of the Codemasters studio. Thanking fans for their support, the letter states that the curtain is starting to drop on current release Dirt Rally 2. So, this particular entry will see no further seasons or major DLC drops, although 1 or 2 surprises are in store. For the time being, the daily, monthly, and weekly challenge series will continue, as will the game's technical support. The letter closes with the teasing of a new project, stating that the announcement will be coming very soon. Codemasters has changed some of its social media branding, replacing Dirt 2.0 banners and avatars with a general Dirt logo. While fans may be disappointed that the Dirt 2.0 experience is entering its twilight period, at least there are exciting new prospects in the series' immediate future. And of course, the current game, Dirt Rally 2.0, is available now on PS4, PC, and Xbox One. Of course, as all studios do, the time comes to move on. The time comes to try something new, and it looks like it's time for Codemasters to dive into a new Dirt game. So if you want to dive in, of course, you can stay tuned to the correct social media channels and get that information. But speaking of social media, to round out today's show, Call of Duty Warzone has hit 60 million players across the PlayStation 4, the Xbox One, and the PC. I did want to mention this because I think it's a very important piece of news, considering that it has been confirmed we are going to be getting a version of this game on next-gen consoles. I'm trying my best to get this in the frame. You know what? We're going with the old faithful. There we go. But this game is going to be coming to PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X, according to reports that have been coming out over the course of the past few days. And I think that's massive news, because if Warzone is ported and updated to the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series X, and Apex Legends also comes to the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox Series X, and supposedly you have Fortnite also coming to the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox Series X, the free-to-play games that have dominated this generation will not be stopped going into the next generation. It is simply going to be a continuation and an amplification of what we already have. Is that a good thing? Is that a bad thing? That's kind of up to you to decide. But quite frankly, it will be nice to have stuff to play at launch that we are already familiar with, and then the exclusives that are available on the Xbox Series X and the PlayStation 5 will be able to speak for themselves. However, that rounds out today's episode of the Jampack Report. If you enjoyed this one, drop me a like down below and let me know what stories caught your eye. I would love to see your thoughts. But until next time, you guys have a fantastic rest of your day. I will talk to you soon, and peace.